Hello, my name is Joe Speakerman, and I'd like to welcome you today to the second in our 2016 monthly webinar series. This topic is Benefits, a powerful recruiting tool. A note that this webinar has been certified for continuing education credits by the Society for Human Resources Management and the Human Resources Certification Institute. On those credits will be provided to you at the conclusion of this webinar. Also, please be aware that this webinar is being recorded and will be available for review on the webinar archives of our website. If you do not want to participate in a recorded webinar, you may want to close this webinar at this time. I'm emailing everyone who signed up for this webinar with a copy of the presentation and a link to the recording. An opportunity to discuss this topic today, as struggles with recruiting seem to be widespread and everyone is looking for strategies to address those challenges. Here's a line of what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be talking about recruiting challenges in our post-recessionary economy, insurance and non-insurance benefit offerings that employers can consider, evaluating what complement of benefits align with your recruiting goals, market benefits to prospective employees, and evaluating the success of your efforts. Let's start reviewing some of the reasons for the recruiting challenges that we're experiencing. Our Great Recession, beginning in 2008, has persisted for a very long time, and it appears that employment is the last thing to recover. Many have gotten used to a world where we either have not been recruiting at all, or if we were recruiting, we had our choice of candidates. For those of you who entered the HR profession during this time, that's all that you've ever known. However, the past couple of years, the applicant market has changed. There are more jobs to fill and fewer unemployed to fill them. I've listed some data on this slide from the United States Department of Labor as of November 2015. As you see, our unemployment percentages have dropped significantly to the point where we are nearing or at full employment. Challenge for those of you in the Madison market, we have traditionally experienced lower unemployment than the national norm. More, there has been significant job growth. Obviously, this data does not take into account the slide that the stock market has experienced in January of 2016, so we'll tell if that decline translates into jobs lost. I know someone who lost a job during the recession. Sometimes their spouses lost jobs too. Sometimes lost multiple jobs and experienced significant financial hardship. Some individuals have chosen to leave the job market permanently, either early retirement, are employed, or are self-employed. Some employees who had professional licenses or designations may have maintained them due to the fact that they were unemployed, resulting in their inability to accept employment in their professions when positions may now be available. Have not increased, while some employee costs related to employment, such as health insurance, have increased significantly. Those factors impact worker mobility. Few workers have the financial resources to move to the locations where there are jobs. These found themselves treading water or slipping downward in their careers and finances during this period. This is stressful and can result in disengaged employees. It's for companies to be aware of this. Even their company did not have wage freezes or layoffs. They have new employees who may have had those challenging experiences and carry with them that emotional baggage. A life is nowhere near the expectation of the American worker. Based on our experiences, they have come to see employment as a periodic engagement, and their mindset is that they can and will need to change jobs periodically over the course of their lifetime. There are demographic realities that are impacting our recruitment as well. There has been a significant loss of skilled trade and a very weak pipeline of new workers into the trade. Areas in America continue to face declining populations as young people from areas migrated to cities to find work. Those business operations in rural areas saw this workforce shortage emerging a couple of years ago before it became apparent in urban areas. Our workforce is aging, especially in states like Wisconsin. The median age for population in Dane and Milwaukee counties is 34 and 33 years of age respectively, and to central parts of the state, like Adams, have a median age of 49, and southern counties of the state have median ages of over 50. This is reported by the Wisconsin Legislative Reference Bureau. And finally, as we have moved forward in an online, paperless world, there are people who are being left behind. They may be financially able to be connected, they may be computer illiterate, or they may live in parts of the state or country with very limited wireless network access. Reaching those people to make them aware of jobs and facilitating the application process can be challenging. There are a variety of factors that are coming into play relating to the workforce shortage. Some of those factors will affect you, but others will not. For those who do, it's important to ensure that the benefit package you provide addresses them. We'll start with a checklist of sorts. Here are things you should look at when evaluating your insurance benefit offerings. How many hours does an employee have to work to be eligible for insurance benefits, and how long must they wait before coverage begins? Could you expect a larger pool of workers if you reduce the number of hours they needed to work to gain coverage? Is the period a barrier to people moving from their current employer? What in your industry? Coverage tiers structured in a way that is attractive to your employees? Do you offer only single and family coverage? Would it make sense to break that down into more categories to better match the needs of your employees? And domestic partner or legally domiciled adult coverage. Would these options be important to your employee population? It's a mix of employer-employee cost sharing. What are you seeing in your industry or in the employers that you compete with for workers? Employers have moved towards significantly higher employee responsibility for dependent spousal coverage. If you've done that, is it working for you? Can you still attract individuals with dependents and families? Are benefits you could offer at no cost to you as an employer that the employee could take with them when they leave, which would be valuable? Have you voluntary worksite benefits as an option recently? Are you located in a specific geography or industry that is struggling to attract workers? If so, you certainly want to evaluate your benefit offerings to ensure that they are competitive. And you may want to consider a benefit package better than the average to bring people to your company. Options are getting more diverse. It is more commonplace to see multiple plan designs offered to employees rather than only one. When attracting new employees, keep in mind that many are coming from organizations where multiple plans are offered. So consider how important it might be to your company to offer more options. And we often focus on health insurance as being the jewel in the crown. And for many employees, it is the single most important offering. That being said, some employers will endeavor to offer more robust ancillary or secondary benefits, such as dental or vision coverage, to stand out from their competition. Many times, plan designs and coverage options for dental and vision coverage don't get as much attention on an annual basis as do the health offerings. It's time to take a look at those ancillary benefits to see if they should be enhanced. Life insurance coverage, be it employer-paid group or voluntary coverage, may be an economical way to provide an additional, very important benefit. In our group benefits practice, we often say that employers and employees can be lukewarm about life insurance benefits. It is until the first situation that arises where a death benefit is paid. Thereafter, attitudes change dramatically and the benefit is highly valued. Is that many employees will never seek life insurance independently from their employer. So providing a benefit may really round out your financial wellness offering. Periodically, take a look at your benefit design and make sure that it provides a contemporary benefit. Things like accelerated benefits, provide advanced payment in the event of a terminal illness, waiver of premium, allowing coverage to continue without the employer or the employee having to pay premium if an employee is disabled, can be very valuable benefits to employees who have serious health issues. As always, having coverage that can go with an employee after their employment ends is important. So evaluate whether your employee is able to take their coverage with them via conversion or portability options. Insurance can be an incredibly important benefit for your organization on many levels. Attracting employees, retaining employees, and supporting the well-being of employees and their family members in what can be very difficult times. The product we're going to discuss is short-term disability coverage. I show that Wisconsin, like most states, does not have a state-run short-term disability program. There are states that do. And if you do business in them, your employees in that state would typically be covered by that plan. As you expand your business to new states, it's important to verify whether that state requires employers to participate in a state-run program. If you're required to have short-term disability coverage in the states you do business in, and chosen not to offer the coverage, I urge you to explore the prospect. There are many design options: fully insured, self-insured, and administered by a third-party administrator, or a wage continuation program. Increasingly, it is going to be difficult for you to attract professionals and executives to your organization with short-term disability offering. For employees who should be off work to deal with health issues but are reluctant to do so because fear the financial impact, it gives them that financial cushion to deal with a health problem sooner rather than later. Short-term disability typically picks up at the end of short-term disability and most frequently is designed as a fully insured program. Although some companies choose to self-insure perhaps the first 3 to 12 months. It's important to periodically evaluate whether your benefit levels are adequately replacing earnings. Look at benefit caps that might exist and compare those to your most highly compensated position. Explore whether the benefit, when received, is taxable or not to the employee. This benefit that can be structured such that different job classes of employees have different benefit levels. Disability carriers and third-party administrators also offer employee assistance program services at no additional cost as part of the coverage. You may explore whether that is an option for you. It's important to look at the length of your waiting period before benefits begin when an employee is injured or ill. If the period is too long, employees who really should be off may be reluctant to take time off, and it doesn't really seem like a viable benefit to them. That waiting period and or the absence of a good short-term disability program can have a very bad unintended consequence for your company. What I mean by that is that employees may consider reporting an injury or illness as work-related and seek compensation under a workers' compensation program instead of as a personal illness or injury when they know that their time off from work will be unpaid. Our compensation experts here at Hausman Johnson have seen this phenomenon occur, and as a result, always urge clients to consider offering comprehensive short and long-term disability coverage. What are important benefit offerings outside traditional insurance? Certainly, your retirement plan is a very important consideration. There has been a steady migration from offering defined benefit plans, traditional pension plans, your benefit accrues and can be collected only after retirement, toward contribution plans such as 401k plans. Which is right for you is dependent upon many factors. If you have only ever offered a defined benefit plan, it might be worth looking at whether adding a defined contribution plan might be attractive to applicants. Many young workers have been exposed to pension plans and do not understand them. Further, since they anticipate working for many employers during their work lifetime, they have difficulty seeing how valuable this benefit can be to them. Has it been, since you've worked with an advisor, to take a look at the details of your plan design? How long do employees have to work to become eligible to participate? Remember, every new employee you hire may experience a gap of time where they're unable to participate in an employer-sponsored plan. What's the right length of time? What is your vesting period? Shorter vesting periods may support your efforts to hire employees at both ends of the age spectrum. A person new to the workforce may anticipate moving to a new employer in 3 years. Will be vested or leave money on the table? How about recruiting candidates nearing retirement or out of retirement? How motivated will they be to join you if they too are leaving money on the table when leaving? Is how much you really may be saving by remaining forfeitures and whether it makes sense to be more generous in your vesting? Would an automatic enrollment feature be appropriate? This would mean that participants would be automatically enrolled upon initial eligibility. And enrolled, some organizations utilize an automatic deferral increase, meaning that the employee's deferral is increased by a certain percentage each year. When inertia sets in, and employees don't always consider increasing their deferral percentage once set. How friendly is the website of the retirement plan administrator you are using? Is it easy for your employee participants to navigate, get answers, and make changes to their deferrals or investments? This is becoming increasingly important as retirement plans become more complex and employees have higher expectations for technology solutions. Is your advisor providing an appropriate array of funds, and do you periodically look at the investment fund choices employees are making? Does it that they understand their choices and are participating in an array of different investments? Or does it appear that they're simply ending up in a default plan? If that's the case, they may not understand their investment choices, not appreciate the value of your plan. Financial education regarding how your plan works and investment choices within your plan. You may have to consider doing that. It's important to note as well that your retirement plan should be viewed as a component of your wellness program, if you have, under the category of financial wellness. You have an employee assistance program. If not, I highly urge you to begin using one. Provides your HR team, managers, and employees with excellent resources. If you have one and it's not being used or you don't like it, evaluate why that is. Most EAP providers will come on site periodically and present to your managers and employees on the services they provide. They even speak at lunch and learns or wellness fairs you may hold. A wellness program may be attractive to some pools of candidates, or may support your company's culture and values. You consider adding one, or if you have one, consider who it is attractive to and how it is marketed to applicants. Options for assistance in designing wellness programs. Your health insurance carrier or broker may be able to assist. Some companies choose to use an outside wellness vendor who may offer technology portals for wellness that might resonate with your employee base. And some companies choose to use guidelines such as provided by WellCoA, the Wellness Council of America, to design their own plans in-house. programs may be structured as participatory, meaning that programs and services are offered, but employees are not compelled in any way to participate. Incentives if they do, but aren't penalized if they don't. Or wellness program can be structured as outcomes-based, meaning that there are expectations that employees participate in some fashion. If they don't, they may incur some penalty. And there are legal compliance issues associated with wellness programs, so it is always a good idea to ensure that it's structured in a legal way. Like allowing your employees to pay for their medical premiums on a pre-tax basis, to set pre-tax dollars for medical expenses not covered by insurance, and to dependent care expenses have been around for quite a while and are offered by many employers. It's good to periodically check your participation to ensure that employees understand how the plans work. A reminder that Flex can be used to set aside pre-tax dollars for qualified transportation expenses such as public transportation and parking. If you are an employer in an urban setting where employees use public transportation, you need to pay for parking, bring a transportation flex program, be very welcome. Also emerging niche coverages such as pet insurance, identity theft coverage, and prepaid legal services. Based on population and their needs and desires, you could consider those. Note I have not listed long-term care insurance. I have not is that it is difficult to purchase as a group benefit product, as very few carriers that offer it. It's something you can discuss with your benefits consultant if you feel that this could be important to your population. We saw a shift from vacation and sick time over the past decade to paid time off banks. Those were some employers and not for others. If you retain the practice of vacation and sick time, you may want to evaluate whether that still works for you. And the practice that we're hearing about is unlimited vacation. Actually, not a completely new concept, as many professionals and sales employees who are paid under a billable hours or production compensation program may have had, in effect, unlimited vacation arrangements for years. It's being considered by more companies and may be good financial and employee relations reasons to move to such a platform. So it may be something for you to consider. Paternity leave used to be a popular benefit in some professional services organizations, but fell to the wayside some years ago as it called into question fairness issues for fathers and adoptive parents. There is movement to return to offering the benefit, especially in companies that have a family focus, and want to encourage fathers and mothers to take time off with newborns. Our organizations focus more on personal employee development and community involvement. Offering short and long blocks of paid time for those activities is gaining momentum. Such offerings resonate with millennials and may also support your company's marketing and philanthropy activities. They also allow you to attract a worker out of retirement. Options at less than 40 hours a week, time, and telecommuting will attract a much wider and deeper candidate pool to your company. At every company I have worked at, employees in these arrangements tend to stay with their companies much longer than the average worker. So being a great attractant, it can increase your retention. Not every working arrangement can be structured this way. I urge you to approach requests from the perspective of, how can we make this work, versus immediately looking for reasons that it can't work. And remember that if you're making this of work-life balance flexibility to the applicant pool, someone else likely will. There are policies worth taking a look at as well. Do you reimburse employees for work-related mileage? Most companies do, but not all. Do you use the maximum IRS rate or rate? Do Do your employees drive a significant amount on company business, and should you consider reimbursing them at the full IRS rate? Do you have tuition reimbursement policy? Does that attract individuals who are trying to pursue higher education and work to retain them during their studies? Our industry that has to use student loan forgiveness as an attractant. I've seen most commonly in healthcare settings, but there's a reason why employers in other industries could use it if they felt they needed it to attract new graduates. Does your industry lend itself to on-the-job training? If such programs should be considered, as you may be able to attract a larger applicant pool. Adoption assistance be a good fit for your company. It may be a frequently used benefit, but could send a message that your company supports families. What about referral bonuses? Is your referral program working for you? Typically, employees refer individuals who they want to work with, and retention of those employees is often better than the norm. How long has it been since you looked at your program? Or do you not have one, and should you? Don't think about some policies as being benefits per se, but when you think about it, they do provide certain benefits to employees, and while utilized perhaps infrequently, they demonstrate your company values. In Wisconsin, while employers do have to allow employees time off to attend jury duty, that time does not have to be paid time. It would be a good gesture on your part to provide at least some period of paid time for jury duty. That if you have employees in other states, check laws, as some do require that jury service is paid. That's true with time off to attend school events. While Wisconsin does not mandate time off, or that time off is paid, some states do. You may want to consider a formal program or policy to allow employees time off to attend their children or children's school events. In Wisconsin are required to allow employees up to 3 consecutive hours of time to vote during the time that the polls are open. There is no requirement that this be paid time. However, other state laws may differ. Depending on your organization's values, you may want to provide some paid leave time for voting. Does bereavement policy, and take a look at the language if you have not done so in a while. Consider you include domestic partners and grandchildren, as those categories are often overlooked in policies. If you title it a funeral leave policy, you consider changing the title to bereavement. A court case recently where an employee was denied paid funeral leave for a deceased family member because there was not an official funeral. Whether that would really be your intent. If not, time for bereavement may be a better title. In the area of the country served by volunteer fire and EMS service, you may have employees who participate as volunteers. What will you do if they get a call while at work? Is their responding during their shift appropriate or not for your workplace? Something to consider and plan for. And how do you handle medical leave if you are not large enough to be subject to Wisconsin or federal MLA, or if the person does not qualify? Have a policy in place prior to needing it, and ensuring that it fits the culture you are working to foster will be important. Again, if you have employees in other states, check whether those states have FMLA policies that you need to comply with. A listing of benefits on this slide are typically found in employers who have large numbers of employees in one facility or are in the business of providing these services to the public. If you're an employer in this situation, adding these offerings might be relatively easy and are often a big draw for applicants. Not a large employer, but competing with employers able to offer these benefits, you should consider how to potentially replace some of these benefits by perhaps delivering them via subsidies, outside vendors, or special arrangements with local businesses providing these benefits. Being prepared to offer relocation assistance is a step in the recruitment process that should not be overlooked. You may need to offer relocation assistance because it is the norm in your industry, due to the level of position that you are filling. Or perhaps you're in a geography where it will be necessary to move people who take your position. I've listed the most common activities on this slide relating to relocation assistance. They include signing bonuses, house hunting trips, expense reimbursement, temporary residence reimbursement, assisting a trailing spouse or partner in the reemployment process. Rules govern whether direct payments to the employee or reimbursements for relocation expenses qualify as tax-free or tax-deductible to your company and employee. I would like you to review your program with your tax advisor to ensure that taxes are handled appropriately. One of my earliest employers, I recall learning to use my first fax machine. You have to be of a certain age to remember those big noisy machines with the huge rolls of paper. Our clients called ahead to let us know they had a fax to send so that we would put the handset of our landline phone into a modem and faxes would magically appear. Well, things changed. I read an article that spoke about how millennials expect technology to make their work and life more interesting. Approach tasks to do with mindset. A technology system to do this. The bottom line is that this generation expects automation in the workplace. And if you or your organization have clung to old technology, despite the fact that it may work for you, it may be a barrier for you to attract younger workers. They expect that your internal operating systems use contemporary technology and will expect that they can access it remotely or from their smartphones. They will be completely comfortable using a technology-based system to help them make decisions about what kind of insurance plan to enroll in. In fact, if it's structured in a way that's fun and or a game, you might perceive that your benefit package is actually more attractive. So the details are still important, right? But we HR types can deal with that. They may look a bit surprised if you hand them a paper handbook. They might have to see that online, or an intranet site along with policies that they can reference. The important thing to millennials is how they're allowed to use social media by their employer. This includes promoting your company as well as sharing what they're doing at the company. It includes your policies on whether you allow them to check their personal social media while they're on the job. Evaluate your policies on that and evaluate what absolute constraints you may have due to compliance with laws relating to your industry. Recognize that if you are more restrictive than perhaps the law requires, this may turn off potential applicants. And first, what does your career page on your website look like? How are you using social media to recruit? That you're conveying an image that will make you attractive to young candidates because they'll make assumptions about what you're like as an employer based upon your social media outreach. Now take a moment to discuss how certain benefits you offer can support camaraderie and engagement such that they become attractants for applicants. The To Work Institute is a global authority on building, sustaining, and recognizing high-trust organizational cultures and has been studying the cultural competencies that make organizations both great places to work and financially successful. Co-founder of the Great Place to Work is quoted as saying, "A great place to work is one in which you trust the people you work for, have pride in what you do, and enjoy the people you work with." Millennials especially want to join organizations where they believe the organization cares about them and the work that they do makes a difference. They like to be proud of their organization. To have fun, make friends, and socialize with the people they work work with. When you take a moment to think about it, this evolution is a logical one. You're in the United States, people lived in the same community for a lifetime, probably came from a large extended family, all of whom lived nearby, and well may have been a member of some organized religion and attended church regularly. While this situation admittedly had its pros and cons, it often resulted in a very deep personal network of relationships. Now, none of those situations is likely. People many times in their lifetime, families smaller may not remain intact, and people participate in group church activities. Work may be the sole group that a person identifies as being a part of. As a result, work relationships are very important to many people. Take Your to Work Day has morphed into Take Your Child to Work Day, and further morphed into Take Your Parents to Work Day. Again, in the spirit of the workplace being a critical part of the employee's social network, some companies have found that employees want to bring their family members into the workplace to see what goes on and to meet the employees' coworkers. Companies who already do many things to pay attention to the mission, vision, and how they live their values and foster socializing and camaraderie. If your organization is one of them, I urge you to more formally highlight what you're doing in your recruitment activities and materials. This makes a huge difference in displaying your attractiveness to candidates. If they're not doing, and often it's difficult for large companies or companies spread out over broad geographies, especially to host and promote social activities, consider how you might try and bring employees together, either physically or virtually. We've been about a wide array of benefits that you could offer candidates. However, what you select for your company's benefit package must support the need you have. In other words, it has to satisfy your recruiting goals. If very few positions you're recruiting for have unlimited time to fill them and have no difficulty filling them, one might argue that your benefit package may be meeting at least your current needs. Evaluating your benefits for attractiveness to candidates may be a low priority for you. On the other hand, for most of us, at least one of those factors presents a problem. Or, in taking into account growth and change that your company will experience in the next 3 to 5 years, new recruiting strategies may be necessary. It is important, at least on an annual basis, to evaluate what your recruiting activity is going to be based upon new positions to fill and replacement positions that might open due to retirements or turnover. What is the experience level of the positions you're seeking to fill? Are these applicants in great supply, or is their supply limited, and are you competing with many other employees who are seeking them as well? Recruiting locally or more broadly? If you're recruiting from a broad geography, how attractive are your benefits from a national perspective? What are the employee benefit packages like in the areas you will be recruiting from? Regular employment or seasonal? It's increasingly difficult to attract and retain seasonal talent, as many employers are beginning to look at benefit offerings to them in order to fill positions and keep employees to the end of the work period. Frankly, how fast do you need to get these positions filled? What impact to the company if they remain vacant or are filled and then turn over? Based on factors that present problems for you, want to evaluate how your benefit package can make you more attractive to candidates. Some examples to illustrate how you might take what we've discussed thus far and apply it to your situation. Let's look at things from an industry perspective. If you care employer with a predominantly female workforce of childbearing age and located in a metropolitan area, you might find that a strong health insurance benefit coupled with a high employer contribution to the dependent premium, and student loan forgiveness policy, and a transportation benefit under a flex plan might make you very attractive to applicants. On the other hand, if you are a manufacturer with a predominantly male workforce who are working engineers and IT professionals in a rural area, you might find that signing bonuses and relocation assistance, coupled with a retirement plan with a short waiting period for participation and accelerated vesting schedule for your retirement plan, might be the mix that would work for you. However, with a workforce with dramatically fluctuating hours from month to month, might find that reducing the number of hours employees have to work per week to be eligible for health or other insurance plans might attract and hold workers on a year-round basis. Now look at considerations from a demographic standpoint. If you're a financial services employer who we can assume is in a compliance-heavy industry, who needs to ramp up employment very quickly, likely you would target the local labor market. You may be looking to recruit a significant number of highly experienced individuals, perhaps Gen X or baby boomers, to your company. You may be thinking that you would need to hire people out of retirement who have the skill set to get you up and running. In that instance, something you would want to consider would be to make sure that your benefit package is competitive for the local area, that times for benefits becoming effective is an absolute minimum, and that retirement plan investing is short or immediate. Let's say an online catalog retailer and you're taking your first foray into setting up a retail store where your clients vacation. It's important that you have that store be aligned with the look and feel of your brand that you have built. You would likely want to hire individuals to manage the store who had deep experience in high-end retailing. They're like Gen X, and you may need to create a very attractive relocation package for them and their family, and first guarantee full-time employment and benefits throughout ups and downs of seasonal traffic. If you are a community services organization that is expanding to work with youth in a college readiness program, you likely recruit recent college graduates who the youth can relate to, who can speak firsthand to the recent college experience. Because you may not be able to pay top dollar for them, you may look to contribute a higher than average employer contribution to their health insurance. You might consider setting up a tuition forgiveness program, and definitely would want to showcase the fun atmosphere and meaningful work. Obviously, these are very simple examples, but hopefully they convey to you how you might approach your analysis. Several times about doing an analysis to see how your benefits compare to those of other companies in the market. But where do you get that data? The industry groups may do surveys of companies in those industries that you might find valuable. If a company is part of an industry association, they may survey association members and compile data. Professional associations for the fields you may be recruiting for, such as engineering, IT, and healthcare as examples, may do benefit surveys. There may be surveys done for a particular area of the country. Recognizing that it can be more challenging to find comprehensive benefit survey data than paid compensation data, you may want to consider working with a benefits consultant and leverage resources that they may have available at no cost or at a fee. Important as it is to evaluate what others are offering, remember that that data is a trailing indicator, if you will. Survey data is, at best, months or years old, may not be as comprehensive as you might like, and show you what the average employer is doing. Average may not be good enough for you to meet the recruitment goals the company has set for you. An equally important, not more important step, is to evaluate what is happening in your own company. What responses are you getting when you make a new hire offer? Are they asking for more PTO time, or options in benefits design, or pointing the absence of particular benefits that they want? Are they down your offer? If so, was it to benefits? If they accept a different offer, make a point to try and determine if certain benefits offered by the other employer play into that decision. When you listen to the voice of your current employees, what are they asking for? What gaps have they identified as problematic for them? If these gaps aren't addressed, you may find that they leave you, and you will have even more positions to fill. As we listen to the voice of our group benefits clients and human resources professionals, what we're hearing is that the complexity of benefits offered is growing, and that in order to maximize value and attract and frankly retain employees, more forward-thinking employers are having to take a multi-pronged approach to marketing their benefits. We know that many prospective applicants go to an employer's website prior to applying for a position, and have to do a great job of outlining benefits on their website in a way that is both comprehensive and also easy to read and understand. Videos are making their way into those web pages as well, so that applicants can both listen to explanations as well as read them. Frequently, we are seeing benefits discussed in job postings and in print flyers and posters be increasingly used by employers targeting applicants who do not use the Internet. It's important to ensure that the way your benefits are marketed to applicants reflects both your brand image standards and also aligns with your mission, vision, and values. The tone of the communication. For example, if your company is a fast-paced urban technology company, are the benefits presented in a manner that conveys that the benefits support employees who may telecommute, may need to continue their education, etc. On the other hand, if you operate a long-term care company in a rural setting, do your benefits demonstrate a focus on caring about health and well-being? In the department, work with them to achieve your design and content objectives. They work for holding companies whose individual companies they have under their umbrella recruit for very different positions or in different geographies. It's important to consider how to showcase the different benefits that may attract those individuals, so you need different materials and approaches. And if your applicant pool speaks a language other than English, have those materials properly translated by a service or a human translator. Avoid line translation, as that can be poor. Consider jargon used in insurance products or plans. Anyway, if you're going to showcase your great benefits, it's important to provide detail to the applicant and candidate so they can fully appreciate what you have to offer. Us, who live and breathe employee benefits and policies day in and day out, we tend to assume everyone in our company is as knowledgeable as we are. You should test that assumption. You have recruiters either in-house or an outside vendor who manage some or all of your recruiting. You should periodically re-educate them on your benefit offering. The same is true with hiring managers, who may take questions from applicants during parts of the hiring process that you might not participate in. Also, a refresher for current employees, so as they consider who they might refer in, they have benefits to highlight. Some employers may accomplish this by having benefits information available to employees via technology tools or applications, and/or they provide total compensation statements to their employees, or periodically highlight components of the program in communication. One key to marketing your benefits to prospective employees is preparation of materials and keeping certain themes in mind. Education is huge. As you know, benefits, both insurance and non-insurance in nature, are increasingly complex. much detail you need to convey the important features that they have. Value to the prospective employee. Why might you want to have this benefit? How would it make their work or life better, easier, or more fulfilling? Ask what it is that is important to them and direct them to the offerings you provide that support their interests. Recognize that if you are hiring entry-level staff and staff out of college, you may increasingly find yourself talking to their parents about your company and the benefits offered. Parents are increasingly involved in their children's lives as they enter the working world. And while they may have personal opinions regarding whether that is good or bad, be prepared to answer parents' questions and sell on your benefits. Employers who recruit at colleges have developed marketing materials about their employment opportunities and benefits that are specifically geared toward the parent audience. Some have gone so far as to provide group informational settings that parents can attend their child applicants. I well in advance what is negotiable. So make sure your recruiters and hiring managers understand what is negotiable so they don't mistakenly promise something inappropriately. Make sure that those negotiable items are clear, and if necessary, establish some parameters regarding the extent to which they are negotiable and who is authorized to negotiate them. Benefits are only one factor of many that an applicant will evaluate when considering a position at your company. But we know that benefits are a top reason that many candidates select employers. So with changes that you've implemented to your benefit offerings are actually resulting in a rapid recruitment, a large quantity of applicants, and higher quality applicants. Here are a number of approaches you could take to do that data. You should pick those that you believe will be appropriate for your organization, and I'd urge you to track them over extended periods. That will provide you with the best data. First, the consultants or vendors you may use to purchase insurance benefits or industry groups you may be a part of may have data regarding time to fill. If you're hiring professionals such as engineers, accountants, etc., professional organizations, they have survey data available. You can survey your new hires to ask them what benefit offerings your company provided that were most attractive to them. But employees are not the direct focus of recruitment activities. Their attitudes about your benefits may be a leading indicator, meaning that if you listen to wants and needs, you may be able to stay ahead of trends. How successful is your employee referral program if you have one? Is it a positive result? Do employees even know it exists? If they do and they aren't using it, what is that? Is it structured poorly, or are your benefits a barrier to their attracting friends and acquaintances to apply? Ask current employees what they think of new benefit design. Use the time you spend with them in stay interviews to explore how satisfied they might be. Track benefit complaints and suggestions, especially during open enrollment periods, to determine if there are trends. Obtain feedback from hiring managers regarding comments applicants or new hires make regarding benefit offerings. And exploring where benefits played a part in voluntary termination is another approach you could take to gather data. Time to fill is typically available for a variety of industries and professions, although, as we discussed, this may tend to be a trailing or stale indicator. And if you have a time frame that you must hire in, outside data may be relevant. What is important is whether or not you made your goal in time. And how many applications are you receiving for each opening? What baseline before improving your benefit offerings and marketing of them, and how many after? It's admittedly easier if you recruit for the same positions repeatedly. Or if you set a goal for a certain demographic, are you achieving greater numbers of applicants in that demographic? As you already know, it's very important to analyze the reasons why candidates withdraw from the application process, why job offers are rejected. While many reasons outside of benefits, if you see a theme that benefits are as a reason, it's important to try to address that situation. Finally, take a look at what benefits your new hires are enrolling in and non-insurance policies and programs they are taking advantage of. If you have great insurance and non-insurance offerings, but a very small percentage of your staff enroll in them, understanding the reasons why will be very important. And since many individuals under the age of 26 remain on parent health insurance, you'll take that reason into consideration when evaluating the attractiveness of health plans if you have large numbers of younger workers. So a lot of ground in this webinar. We have a few minutes remaining, and we've had a couple of questions come in during the webinar. One question that came in was, what is the norm that employers are providing when it comes to employer-paid group life insurance? We do have some very recent survey data from Xywave that I can share with you. The Xywave survey encompassed 700 employers reporting, 24% of them in the Great Lakes area. In terms of multiples of salary, 21% of employers do one-time salary, and that was the most prevalent when it came to a multiple of salary. Those that do flat amounts, 6% do 10% to 36% do $10,000 to $30,000 of coverage, followed 10% doing $50,000 to $75,000. The rest truly are all over the board. Question come in, and that was, how can we assist those 26-year-olds who skip health insurance enrollment because they're covered by their parents and educate them on their benefits? Here's a question asked frequently, both for young employees and for experienced employees, due to the fact that employee benefits are becoming more complex. Some companies are moving toward online decision support tools to help employees navigate through their options and make better choices, and those tools are becoming more widely available. But that being said, there's really nothing that beats the old one-on-one meeting between an employee and an HR representative to walk through the offerings and answer questions, although I recognize that that's not always possible. That will be concluding our webinar today. Thank you for joining us. There will be information that follows on the HRCI and SHRM credits that are available for this webinar. Thank you again.